It has been 470 days since Chris was placed in custody, and 75 days since the last known communication from Chris. Hello and welcome to Art Appreciation with GiBi Part 3. We're going to be looking at some of the artwork that Chris has been sending the Praetors from jail over the last couple months. I did do 2 previous videos about this that are going to be linked in the description. These are things that Chris is basically drawing with pens and pencils and then mailing out to the Praetors to be sold on their Etsy shop for exorbitant amounts of money. I've talked about the Praetors before and how I think that taking advantage of Chris is almost always a bad thing. The one thing I will say about them is that they do appear to be paying Chris. I know it's weird to kind of equate this to a normal industry type thing, but if this was all on the up and up, then the Praetors would be taking about 10% of the sales of the things that they're selling for Chris, and Chris would be walking home with 90%. I don't know what their contract is. I don't know what they're actually giving him, but as long as it's within that ballpark, then I technically don't have a problem with what they're doing. The issue comes with the fact that people are actually buying these pieces of art, and given the things that Chris has allegedly done, I don't think anybody should be doing something that gets Chris Chan money. So on one hand, it's bad that they're doing something to get Chris money. On the other hand, it's worse if they're keeping all the money for themselves. It's a very complicated situation. So because it's been so long, I'm just going to give my normal disclaimer, which is, don't contact Chris, don't give Chris money. We're just here to note what's happening, so that in the future people can look back on today and maybe it'll help them understand. The first piece of art we're going to look at is undated, but it probably comes in June or July of 2022, called The Ethereal Rose Chew. This art piece is a piece of jail art done by Christine Weston Chandler. It should be noted that these are sold without frame, and are shipped in padded document mailers to cut customer shipping costs. An unedited description has been provided by Christine via letter. That's how all of these descriptions start, so going on, I'm not going to be reading that part. As you can see, the right half of the image is just kind of ripped off from a sketch notebook. A lot of these are listed for about $175. The Ethereal Rose Chew. Perhaps in your recent visions, you have seen and received a holy or divine message of good tidings from an all-white, furred, blue-eyed female rose chew with long quills, a dazzling aura, and intangible white clear wings. You have been visited and blessed by our messenger, and have been enlightened with the message of us, the gods and goddesses, the cosmos and the universe core of Universe 1C211987, right here and now. It is best you all heed the messages in your better spirituality and faith. So, as I already said, he looks like he tore this off of a sketchbook, as opposed to it being an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. He's denoting that she has clear see-through wings by having it be dotted lines. This is a new Rose Chew, though. She has not appeared previously, meaning that he is now expanding the lore. There are now more special Sonichus that were born from the rainbow energy of 2003. And of course, he's signing it Jesus Christ Chan Sonichu Prime. As the prophesized scriptures shall manifest. I'm just chillin' in space within our universe 1C211987, reading the old to be updated to HD Sonichu book number 10, and commenting to everyone, while breaking the fourth wall that is the barrier veil to be removed between both halves of the earth, about a couple of premonitions innately chronicled in the book around 2010. So Chris keeps referring to the universe as 1C211987. That's because Chris believes now that the dimensional merge has actually happened, and so we have combined our universe with the Sonichu universe. It's sort of unclear why he thinks that this has already been completed, and yet he doesn't have his super goddess powers. Unless he does think that he has his super goddess powers, and he's just sitting in jail for fun. So as he said, this is a remake of the issue number 10 Sonichu cover, and he wrote on it, Welcome to the Neo Life. This version of Sonichu that you can see on the page is his goddess form, so this is actually Chris Chan on the cover who is now talking to us. He says, hey there. Do you remember how I foretold the collective shift with the transfer of the Pokesite 2... What? So, Chris made multiple websites back in the early 2000s, and so Pokesite 2 was his second attempt at making a Pokemon fan site. So do you remember how I foretold the collective shift being our universes merging and our human consciousnesses going into the alternative bodies of our original characters in the fictional dimension. So do you remember how I foretold the collective shift? He foretold it by transferring the Pokesite 2 files to the mayor's office within Sonichu issue number 10. No, how about the foretelling of the need for the monkeypox vaccine over a decade ago? What? Hey, I don't blame... What? Wait, hold on. Hey, I don't blame you, GiBi. Oh my god, I hate it when he talks about me. I don't blame you, GiBi, or the rest of you all. Even in the early process of my powers, I had misinterpreted it as the gay vaccine. No! Okay, so in Sonichu issue number 10, Chris, he's in the future. He comes out of this time vortex and he's in the future, and then he travels back in time to the present. And he gives Magi-chan some of his blood so that they can use his blood to create a vaccine that stops people from being homosexual. Magi-chan then travels into the future to the time when they've actually developed this vaccine. And then he brings the vaccine back in time with him, and they put it in the water supply of Quickville so that nobody from that point onwards can be gay. Chris is saying that this is a misinterpretation of the current need for a monkeypox vaccine, because monkeypox is being predominantly spread via gay sex. I think that that's his implication here. When this happened, it was kind of like the culmination of all of Chris's homophobia put into like one message where he says he literally cured gayness. Of course, he would come out as bisexual like 5 years later. But now to spin that and say that he was actually doing it to try to stop a disease that is currently, unfortunately, targeting mostly gay people, it's quite bold. He's retconning his real life. But now to spin that and say that he was actually doing it to try to stop a disease that is currently, unfortunately, targeting mostly gay people, it's quite bold. I have long repented for that. Here we go. I have long repented for that homophobia, and now Malachi and the other premonitions are in manifestation. It's kind of clear from the fact that he's talked about me several times in his letters that the people who are writing to him in jail, mainly, I'm guessing, the Praetors, are keeping him updated on the people who are talking about him online. So I'm guessing me, Smokey McCrack, that like Chris is now hearing about these people from the outside. And so he's just talking about me. That's great. I will, of course, continue what I was doing. That's that every time Chris tries to reach out to me, I don't answer. I do not interfere with Chris. That is the mantra. Is this a GameStop ad? There is nothing wrong with your device. We control the horizontal. We control the vertical. We have got the touch and the controls, and we are breaking the barrier and veil. So then the actual line he has in the comic is, there's nothing wrong with your television. Chris's quote here is apparently a reference to the intro of the TV show The Outer Limits, a 1963 science fiction anthology that is often compared to The Twilight Zone. I don't know if this thing behind him is supposed to be a GameStop, or if it's supposed to be like his bedroom, because it says Nintendo, Sega, and then Commodore 64. So like, is it his room with all these games on the shelves, or is it actually a GameStop? And I cannot tell what his shirt says. Something with it in. Enhance. Breathe it in. It says breathe it in. Oh, that thing he's holding in his left hand, that's a bunch of game console controllers. He's holding all the wires up. Oh, that's so weird. I don't get it. Sonichu Prime and Rosy Rosechu Prime and Quickville's Cyan Master Emerald. A trace and redraw of one of my earlier pieces, as it depicts the Cyan Master Emerald of the 8 Master Emeralds in the city of Quickville, Virginia, with Sonichu and Rosie using it to dispel evil intruders from alternate evil universes, dimensions, and timelines. And then you have typical Sonichu and Rosechu. Sonichu and Rosechu Prime refer to the two main characters from the series, as opposed to other Sonichus that are just named Sonichu. Because, of course, that's the name of the species and the character, because Chris has to make it confusing. The servers are the 7 Chaos. Chaos is power. Power enriched by the heart. The controller served to unify the chaos. Holy Flame Sky Uppercutting the Devil. It is very clear and concise, as I have personally done this, literally. With holy flames in my aura, I've Sky Uppercutted the Devil and took his keys, as he is vaporized by the holy flame and light power. On August 25th, 2022, Chris Chan killed the Christian devil. Satan is no more. Sky Uppercut is, of course, a move from Pokemon, and Satan apparently only wears shorts. I think that's what he wears in South Park. I think that's where Chris is getting this imagery from. Sonichu Prime and Sonic the Hedgehog Prime, the chaos control of all chaos controls. Sonic and Sonichu use the Chaos Emeralds and the Chaos S2 Crystal Balls to power up and help the 1218 and C197 halves of our Earth become undivided, safely, well and good, for and with everyone's well-being in mindful, focused care. So you have the Chaos Emeralds, which are from Sonic, and which arguably are ripoffs of the Dragon Balls from Dragon Ball Z, but I'm not going to touch that topic. And then you have the S2 Balls, which are ripoffs of the Chaos Emeralds, but now they're magical spheres, which kind of makes them more like the Dragon Balls. So yeah, you have Sonichu and the real Sonic, and they're trying to make the dimensional merge happen. Round table of Magichan Sonichus. Keep in mind, because Chris believes in, like, a whole bunch of different dimensions, there are variants of all of his characters, the way that there are variants of characters in something like the MCU or like Rick and Morty. That's kind of where he's getting all of this from. So a round table of Magichan Sonichus. Sipping coffee and discussing the present moment events in universe 1C222987. I don't know if that's a typo, or if they're talking about a different universe. Because again, these are variants from different universes. So they're talking about moments from this universe on board the space colony of the communion of good Christians in timeline 4D. From left to right, Val Sonichu, Lady Magic Sonichu, Magichan Sonichu Prime, so that's our Magichan, Grand Elder Magichan Sonichu, Tri Sonichu, and Dimitri Sonichu collaborate, discuss, and make the plans very well laid out and set with 1C211987's divine plan. And in the background, you can see that there's 3 variations of Chris Chan. So you can see that there's male Chris Chan, there's female Chris Chan, and then there's a female version of Chris Chan that's levitating and having a psychic conversation with Magichan. Calming a wave in Texas. I'm in Texas, or wherever there is to be a massive tidal wave in the already devastated area. I do my thing and stop the wave in its tracks by splitting it and backing it to the source where it manifested from. Waves of tidal doubt, I rebuke you. Peace, manifest. This is obviously symbolic of the splitting of the Red Sea by Moses. Chris is leading the Texans into the Promised Land, which I guess is Mexico. Chris wants to send the Mexicans back where they came from. That's my take from this. The Fall of Not Babylon. A prophecy of the modern present-day iteration of the wicked Babylon, as is more than clear with the recent events, as well as the fall of Akan, dragon form, by my divine action as previously chronicled in art form in recent years. Also featured is a 10 king, 7 mountain, and sea of local civilians in the painting. So this painting in the background is a painting in reference to the Book of Revelations. This is a nude woman covered up by a bowl of fruit, I'm guessing. Fallen by your own sword upon divine intervention, after your callous torture upon the righteous, and the rebels of your fallen country had done as light guided in vanquishing your evil demon soldiers. Thrown down as easy as Babylon, your judgment day is upon you, Mr. P. And I think that this is Akan, who has dropped his sword and is being stabbed by this knight. A coffee jelly break. I and Kusuo Saki. Gotta Google it because Chris Chan referenced it, and I'm not a weeb, so I don't know what it means. Kusuo Saiki is the titular main protagonist of the manga and anime series The Disastrous Life of Saki Sayakai. He has psychic powers. So Chris and the main character of this anime meet and vibe and chill over some coffee, jelly, and a telepathic conversation. Seriously though, aside, does Starbucks sell coffee jelly in the States? Because I'd really enjoy some. So these two are sitting next to each other and Chris is saying, although this is all telepathic, so that's why it's thought bubbles, but they are saying this to each other. This coffee jelly is really good. And the anime boy says, that is why I still come here, aside from Nendo not being here. I'm guessing he doesn't like this Nendo fella. Chris Chan. I can agree with the simplicity of getting away to solitude. Yeah, Nendo, good grief. Anime boy continues. How they managed to find me despite my powers to stay away from them is baffling, but I know the reasoning. Chris continues. At least to a point, fate works like crazy, even with gods like us. Aura attracts auras, and our light intrigues the population some. Anime boy continues and says, I could say clearly, so, Chris concludes. Aside from that, I should try to find coffee jelly in the States. I like a dark roast. Anime boy agrees. Robust and savory. You gotta keep this anime boy in mind. He's gonna come back later. With healing in her wings of the morning into Neo lives. Inspired by the book cover art of Wings of the Morning by Lori Wick, this redraw puts the facts about I and the present-day happenings into another clear and direct perspective. I really hate how Chris started writing Commodore instead of Commodore. On the topic of coincidences that I hate, the new Sonic the Hedgehog series, TV show, on Netflix is called Sonic Prime, which of course is just going to continue to feed into Chris's delusions because the Prime terminology is what he has started calling the Sonichu characters. But I don't even think Chris knows about that yet because it's been announced and is going to come out while he's in jail. As the one Prime avatar, she governs and is the conduit of our very existence, and the break of the veil reunites their love better and even stronger. The conduit, you say? Punchy and Speedy. On another teleported mission visit to Tokyo, Punchy Sonichu visits the pizza place of the Samurai Pizza Cats and talks with Speedy Servici. Samurai Pizza Cats is actually a TV show. I've heard about that from the YouTubes. Yet Polyester does not want Speedy's shift pawned off on her again. So the first thing you see is in the background, Chris is looking out through the window, and it says, I tried drawing Speedy from memory, enjoy. So, Knuckles and Speedy greet each other by saying, Ohio. Apparently they've met each other because Knuckles. It's Punchy. Did I say Knuckles before? Punchy Sonichu. Punchy Sonichu says, it's good to see you again. Speedy says, you too, what brings you to Tokyo this time? Punchy says, our present search for the Chaos Emeralds and Chaos Crystal Balls led me and the Psychic Squadron here this time, but I wanted to see my favorite Nyankis again, and catch up over tea and pizza. Speedy says, Polly can cover me for half an hour. Come in and sit a while. I'll bring the tea and we can catch up. And then you can see that Polyester's mad, yelling off screen, Speedy, because she doesn't want it to have to cover his shift. And then this little cat back here is yelling Fred. And over here you can see someone's offering someone else tea. And now, undoubtedly, for the moment that all of us have been waiting for, a free gift for GiBi. This is a free gift for YouTuber GiBi, as requested by Chris Chan. In appreciation for the videos he makes about Chris stated that this is to be mailed out to GiBi. We are not aware of a valid address and have no way to contact GiBi, so this piece is priced with the intention no one else buys it. They actually only listed this for $300 on their website, which is not significantly more than all the other art pieces. Like, if I had it, I would frame it and I would put it on the wall back there. But I am not too keen on the fact that Chris is drawing me. This one is just a free gift you can mail to GiBi, with my compliments where I drew him with Nendo's hairstyle and Ball's chin and wanting to get some ramen. So once again, Nendo is a character from that disastrous Life of the Other Guy anime series. So that's why in this image, I have a mohawk, because that's what the character looks like. And I also have Peter Griffin-style testicles on my chin, apparently. And then of course I'm saying my famous catchphrase, hey buddy, you want to go get some ramen? That's how I start all of my videos, of course. And he titles it The GiBi Situation. I don't know if that's a reference to something. I don't know if it's a reference to, like, The Situation from the Jersey Shore. I got nothing. It's dated August 27th, 2022, and I'm holding up some ramen. I hate how the mustache doesn't connect to the beard, because that's something that you guys always criticize me over, because my mustache, my beard is so thin right here, it looks like it doesn't connect on camera. I'm self-conscious about it, almost like I'm self-conscious about my baldness. Moving on from that catastrophe, Lady Magic Sonichu. A simple piece of Magic Sonichu of our prime timeline, one sees gender-bent universe at metaphysical work within the cosmos. That is a lot of words that means absolutely nothing. So this is a gender-bent version of a character working in the cosmos. I like how whenever Chris draws space, he draws like this little eye symbol just floating in the darkness. The vacuum of space. And finally for today, we have a meditation circle in a neo-spiritual Christianity chapel in Jerusalem, featuring Valaziquia Romana Rosechew of the Psychic Squadron of Quickville, Virginia, Angelica Rosechew, President Lisa Simpson, Goku, Espio, a monk, a Buddha, and others in this multi-religious, diverse circle of meditation. So this looks like that rhino fellow from Sonic. I don't know his name. You got a monk here. This guy, I'm guessing Chris intended to be Jewish. I'm assuming this is a hairline, and therefore that's a yarmulke. This guy is a Hindu with his turban. There's just a black guy. There's just a white guy. There's a woman. There's a child. There's a Buddhist monk. This is a girl who supports Ukraine, I guess. This is Goku. This character we've never seen before, but they're part of the Psychic Squadron, which Punchy Sanchu talked about when he was visiting Tokyo. So that's new lore, new Psychic Squadron lore. This is Angelica Rosechu, who's of course one of the main characters in the Sanchu comics. This is Chris. This is a horrifying Lisa Simpson as an adult. And there are more images, but I'm going to leave it off there because we're actually only halfway through the updates from the last time I made this video type. There will be a part 2 coming out soon, but this is all I could stomach for now. Thank you for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at GiBi_Devin. And if you want to check out something equally as horrifying as Chris's artwork, you can check out my Halloween video on a haunted house and a spooky ghost. You want to get some ramen?